What's up, guys? This is Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall market. I'm also going to break down why next week is going to be very important as we have Tesla's deliveries coming out. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. Anyways, as far as Tesla's going, as you guys can tell, the share price looks kind of weak here. We're just getting rejection after rejection. And we're going to be watching to see if this 320 to 317 area holds. If it doesn't, there's going to be a risk of Tesla coming all the way down to 309 or below. Also, if we are going to make like a high here, come down, make a lower high, that could be another sign Tesla may dip. So watch that very closely. What's going to really affect Tesla is going to be deliveries. Will deliveries cause Tesla to run more or dump? That's going to be very, very impactful. So keep that in mind. For Q2, according to different analysts, right now, we're expecting 395,000 deliveries, according to Bloomberg. Not the best of numbers because that's actually a decrease compared to what we saw in the previous quarter. And then other analysts such as like Baird are basically decreasing their Q2 deliveries estimates to about 377,000. Barclays expects Tesla to deliver around 375,000 EVs. UBS is saying 366,000. So the majority of them have pretty low expectations. The reason for that is because I showed you guys the European sales data yesterday, which is looking pretty weak. As Tesla's struggling in Europe, and then the Chinese data does not look too good either. So the purple line is Q2 of 2025. Look at how the purple line is actually kind of lackluster compared to what we saw with these other lines, especially towards the end of the quarter. So far, it's a little lackluster. And I'm going to show you more data for why I say that. The purple line is Q2 of 2025 so far. The rest of these lines are from 2024 and then last quarter. And the total deliveries are actually lower than what we saw last quarter, but also lower than every quarter we've seen of last year. So not the best of signs for Tesla. On top of this, I think there's another really nice chart right here. This is our total Chinese sales based off insurance data. The blue line is where we are right now. So see how, if you look at this, let me zoom out. 2023 and 2024, we're actually well above where we currently are. And 2022 is obviously very weak with a lot of the difficulties Tesla was facing. So we're actually doing better than 2022, but we're weaker than 2023 and 2024 so far. So sales in China look kind of weak. So in all honesty, the Chinese sales look weak. The European sales look weak, but I'm not too sure about the American sales. That's to be determined. But because of this weakness we're seeing so far, analysts have very low expectations. Tesla's going to be announcing the deliveries on Wednesday, so we'll see what that leads to. There was some negative news that came out that Tesla had fired Omid Afshar. I may have said that wrong, and I do apologize. But they fired him. He was the leader of operations in North America and Europe. And then on top of this, they also had to fire, they lost another important vice president of the Optimus humanoid robotics team. That's not the best of news as well. So they're losing some key members. And then, there's all this negative news about the Robotaxi event, as many analysts are saying that it's lackluster. It's going to take Tesla decades to really scale it, which is not really true. They could scale the Robotaxi much faster, but for now, the share price is getting a negative reaction. Now, what's going to happen is Tesla's going to remain range bound, but we're going to see if we break out higher or lower. It still could go either way depending on how deliveries go, but the expectations are still low for them, at least thus far. Now, President Trump has announced that he basically wanted to cut off trade talks with China over their attacks targeting U.S. technology firms. He called it a blatant attack, and he's saying that he's going to set new tariff rates on Canadian goods as soon as next week. And then the deadline's approaching for President Trump's reciprocal tariffs, but President Trump is saying that he may extend it or shorten it. And then we also have the White House press secretary talking about how we could extend it. So that is a good piece of news. And then there's also more good news coming out with these trade deals. The US and China announced another deal involving rare earth materials. And there could be more deals coming out with India, according to President Trump. So far, that's more bullish. We'll see what that leads to if more deals come out as we approach the deadlines. Next week, we basically have the Chicago PMI on Monday. On Tuesday, we have the JOLTS job openings and job quits and the big guy Jerome Powell giving a speech. On Wednesday, we basically don't have anything too significant except for Tesla's deliveries on July 2nd. And then Thursday is going to be the last trading day of the week for the US markets because we have non-farm payrolls, unemployment, and then we basically have important services numbers coming out. So everything comes out on Thursday. Expect lots of volatility then. And then Friday is going to be the notorious market close for American Independence Day. For the 4th of July, the market's going to be closed on Friday. So it's only 4 days of trading next week. For now, there could be some volatility with Jerome Powell's speech and some minor data. What do I see for Tesla? Honestly, guys, we're kind of like making a lower high here. Looks kind of weak to me. Might retest that 317 to 320 area. If that fails us, we could be dipping more if deliveries don't go well. If they do well, we could be looking for a bigger bounce. Keep in mind there is this gap down here to fill around 308. That could also happen. We're going to see if we come down to fill that gap or not. We might end up doing that. So we are technically favoring downside. Looking at the daily charts, the weekly, it looks bearish. It's favoring, downside for 311 to 309. We got a weekly chart. Tesla looks kind of weak right now, so we are anticipating a test of 317, if not below, if that fails us. So keep that in mind. For SPY, we're looking kind of weak right here. We could be dipping a little bit more. We could be dipping into like 610 to 611, but then we're going to see if we get a big bounce from here or not. So keep that in mind. That's going to be very, very key for how we end up moving. So that's going to be very, very important. We're going to see what ends up happening around that 611 area and watch to see if we bounce. I do anticipate a little bit of downside for SPY, but then we could be looking for a big bounce afterwards as we still look bullish. So long as we don't do 608, we are bullish. If 608 fails us, we do dip more, but as long as we can hold that, we could still bounce and continue to break out for the highs. For the QQQ, it's the same thing. If we lose 542, we're looking for a dump, but as long as we don't lose support, we could be bouncing, so keep that in mind. On the IWM, we're watching to see if 213 holds. If this dips here, we're going to be watching to see if buyers defend. If not, we could be dipping lower. So watch to see how this ends up doing. As long as we hold 214, we're looking for a rebound. For ES, we look bullish. As long as we don't lose 6,200, we're favoring an attempt for 6,250 or above. NQ looks bullish as long as we don't lose 22,700. We're favoring 22,800 or above. I think we're looking pretty good right now. Bitcoin looks bullish as long as we don't lose 107,000. We're actually favoring a bounce for 108,000 plus. For Tesla, we're looking weak here. We're favoring 320 or below. And then if that fails us, we're looking for a bigger dump. For Nvda, we're technically bullish. I want to see us just not lose like 155. It might consolidate, but then this could be going higher if we try to hold above 155. This looks a bit more bullish. Aapl is consolidating. If we lose 200, we're looking for a move down, but as long as we hold above 202, we're looking for 204. Technically, it is bullish. There's nice accumulation right here, so it is favoring like 202 plus and eventually 204. Netflix looks bullish. It's favoring 1350 or above. AMD is looking a little bit weaker than Nvda, so it might dip a little bit back down to 140, but I want to see us bounce off that to continue to go higher. Look for a small dip and a bounce. Coinbase is going to be testing 343. We're going to see if this holds. If not, we could be dipping lower. And we'll see if buyers defend there. So do anticipate a little bit of downside before it tries to bounce. Amazon looks very bullish in terms of its trend. Could come down to like 220 before it tries to continue to push for like 225 plus. It's bullish. Might see a small move down before it continues to push, so keep that in mind. Meta could be retesting basically 728, and we'll see if we bounce off that or not. If we don't, we could be looking for a bigger dip, but overall it's bullish. Google looks bullish, favoring 180 plus. Microsoft is looking more bullish, but it might come down to like 494, and we'll see if buyers defend around there. So look for a small dip before you try to bounce. And the VIX is looking bearish with the double top, so it is still technically weak as the market continues to bounce. So SPY and the QQQ look more bullish, but Tesla's looking kind of weak right here. It might dip a little bit to at least 320 to 317. Then we'll see how it ends up reacting to deliveries. Nothing matters until we see deliveries unless there's another big piece of news. But right now, the expectations are low because of how the Chinese and European numbers are looking. With that being said, guys, I'm going to try to take a break tomorrow. I might not upload a video. I just need a little bit of rest. I just need some time away from the charts, and I'll be back for sure on Sunday. So until then, I'll see you guys on Sunday. Maybe tomorrow we'll see about that. If I'm not available tomorrow, for sure you'll see me by Sunday, maybe in the evening time. Until then, I thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.